I'm Eileen. 6 weeks have passed since that fateful Friday night, and my life has found a new kind of stillness. It's not empty or lonely, it's just quiet. I'm still staying with my friends, Lily and Max, but I've already visited 3 apartments. One had too much carpet, another had a view of a brick wall, and the third had tall windows that let in so much light I could envision myself breathing there. I'm signing the lease next week. As I sit here, surrounded by the boxes I packed from my old apartment, I can't help but reflect on how everything changed. The boxes are neatly stacked in the corner of the guest room, labeled and organized. Even heartbreak couldn't make me sloppy. Work has once again become my anchor. Numbers make sense, projections follow logic, and outcomes can be modeled, adjusted, and improved. People, on the other hand, are a different story. It all started about 14 months ago when I met my ex-boyfriend, Ryan. I grew up in a small town where my parents, a schoolteacher and a mechanic, instilled in me the values of hard work and honesty. They were simple, down-to-earth people who always supported my dreams. Ryan, on the other hand, came from a well-off family in the city. His parents were high-powered business people, always focused on status and appearances. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. It was one of those lazy summer evenings with plastic cups and overcooked burgers, where conversations flowed effortlessly. Ryan was charming, funny, and observant. He worked in brand management, and he talked about brands the way I talked about financial reports. After 10 months of dating, we moved in together. Maybe it was too fast, but at the time, it felt right, or at least I wanted it to. Ryan had a close-knit group of college friends, a group of 5 women in their late 20s. They called themselves the Circle. Ryan said it jokingly, like it was cute and harmless. At first, I didn't think much of it. I'd met them a few times at birthdays, group dinners, and one awkward game night where I felt like an outsider in my own boyfriend's life. They were polite on the surface, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes, and their compliments always seemed a bit off. I told myself it was just a protective friend group, and that was normal. But I started noticing changes in Ryan whenever he spent time with them. He'd come back acting a bit different, not angry or cold, just slightly off. He'd make small comments about how I dressed, how I prioritized work, and how I wasn't as ambitious as I used to be. He'd question my hobbies, like they were childish instead of things that kept me sane. The first time I brought it up gently, he laughed and said I was overthinking it. He claimed they were just blunt and that's how they showed they cared. I let it go, but I shouldn't have. Then came that fateful Friday night. Ryan told me the Circle wanted to have a group dinner at an upscale French restaurant downtown, Le Chateau. It was one of those places with dim lighting, thick menus, and appetizers that cost at least $20 each. He asked if I wanted to go, and I said yes. I thought that if I spent more time with them, things would improve, and they'd finally see me as more than just Ryan's girlfriend. That was my biggest mistake. We arrived around 7 p.m. The reservation was under Ava's name, the unofficial leader of the Circle. Ava worked in tech and always carried herself like she was a step ahead of everyone else. The table was already half full. Ava, Sophia, Isabella, and Chloe were there, and the 5th member, Grace, was running late. As soon as I sat down, the atmosphere changed. Ava gave me a tight smile and said, "Oh, you came? How nice." Ryan either didn't notice or chose to ignore it. He immediately started chatting with Sophia, laughing like everything was normal. I ordered a glass of water and tried to make small talk, but I got one-word answers. People checked their phones mid-sentence, and their eyes slid past me as if I wasn't even there. When Grace finally arrived 20 minutes later, she hugged everyone except me. The appetizers came, followed by wine, and then more wine. Ryan was on his 2nd glass before our main courses arrived, laughing loudly at everything Ava said. That's when the comments started. Ava swirled her wine and looked directly at me. "Ryan says you're still at the same company you were at when you two met." "No promotions," she said. I kept my voice steady and replied, I got a raise last year. Things are good. She repeated, a raise? Like I'd won a minor prize. That's sweet. Ryan didn't say a word. Someone mentioned my hobbies, and another person laughed. By the time the main course arrived, my jaw ached from forcing smiles. When the check finally hit the table, a whopping $847, I knew this night was going to change everything. Ryan leaned in and whispered, if my friend's jokes bother you, you can leave. Just pay your share. I smiled, and that smile was the last free thing I ever gave him. I went home quietly. The living room lights were off, and the air smelled faintly of the scented candle Ryan liked to light every evening. It was a sweet, cloying smell, like it was trying to cover up something rotten. I went straight to the bedroom, pulled out a duffel bag, and started packing with a calm that I usually reserved for handling financial crises. I packed 2 pairs of jeans, work clothes, toiletries, and my laptop. The only moment my hands hesitated was when I saw Ryan's hoodie folded neatly on my chair, the one I used to steal on cold mornings. I stared at it for a few seconds too long, then pushed it aside and kept packing. I sat on the edge of the bed and checked my phone. There were 4 missed calls from Ryan and texts like, where are you? Are you serious right now? And you're being childish. My chest tightened, not because I missed him, but because the tone was so familiar. It was irritated, not concerned or confused, like I'd inconvenienced him. I turned my phone off and, for the first time in weeks, slept without the feeling that I had to prove myself to anyone. The next morning, sunlight hit the guest room at Lily and Max's place like an accusation. It took me a second to remember where I was. Then my phone, still face down on the nightstand, started vibrating like crazy. I turned it on and saw 23 missed calls and a flood of texts from Ryan. Messages like, you embarrassed me, I can't believe you just left, and we need to talk. It dawned on me that he hadn't once asked if I was okay or why I'd been so quiet at dinner. It was all about him, his embarrassment, and his image. I typed a message saying, I'm staying with Lily. I need space. The phone rang immediately. Lily called up from the kitchen, you okay? I lied and said, yeah, just dealing with it. Ryan didn't even say hello. What the hell is wrong with you? He snapped. I took a deep breath and calmly asked, what's wrong with me? Your friends treated me like dirt all night, and you laughed with them. He shot back, they were joking. You're so dramatic. I replied, 3 hours of jokes? That wasn't joking, that was humiliation, and you let it happen. He then said I'd made a scene over the check. I laughed sharply. I paid for what I ate. I didn't have wine or dessert. Why would I pay for 3 bottles of wine I didn't drink? He said, that's what adults do. We don't nickel and dime people. I retorted, I'm not people to them. I'm a target. This is personal because I'm a person. Then he dropped the bombshell. You left me there to cover your portion. After you left, we recalculated, and everyone still had to pay evenly. Since you only left $50, someone had to cover the difference, and that someone was me. I ended up paying almost $200 because of you. I stared at the wall for a second, then laughed. That's not my problem. I'm not your ATM, I said. He was furious. Samantha's texting me non-stop. She says you're. I cut him off. Tell Ava she's right. I'm exactly what she thinks I am. I'm done subsidizing her wine while she mocks me to my face. He went silent for a moment, then said in a low, angry voice, you really don't care how this makes me look. I felt a sense of clarity. No, I don't, because you didn't care how I felt. And with that, he hung up. Over the weekend, Ryan texted sporadically. The tone shifted from anger to guilt. He talked about how I should be more mature and that relationships require compromise. But I read between the lines. He wanted me to come back, apologize, and make things easy for him again. On Monday, at work, I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying the dinner, Ava's smile, the laughter, and Ryan's whisper in my ear. At lunch, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Grace. She asked if we could talk. I was hesitant at first. She was the one who arrived late and didn't hug me. But my curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet her at a Starbucks near my office after work. When I met Grace, she looked uncomfortable. She sat rigidly with her hands wrapped around a paper cup. She took a deep breath and said, "I felt really bad about Friday. Ava can be a lot, and when Ryan's around her, he changes." I kept my voice even and said, "That's not an excuse." She quickly replied, "I know. I'm not trying to excuse it. I just wanted you to know that I thought it was messed up how they treated you." I asked, "Then why didn't you say anything?" She admitted, "Because I'm a coward. If I stood up for you, I'd be the target. That's how it works with them. You're either in or out." She then told me that Ryan was telling everyone I'd freaked out over nothing and that he'd posted something on Instagram on Sunday night. It was vague but obvious to anyone who knew us. I saw the post on her phone. It was a carefully worded dig, and the comments were brutal. Strangers were calling me cheap, immature, and unstable. I realized that if I stayed quiet, Ryan's version of the story would become the truth. So, I went home, opened my laptop, and started drafting my response. I wrote it like a professional report, clear and factual. I described the dinner, the constant digs, the demand to split the bill evenly, and Ryan's whisper. I ended it with, "Know your worth and don't let anyone treat you like an ATM while they laugh at you." As soon as I hit post, I felt a rush of nausea. But within minutes, notifications flooded my phone. People were supporting me, saying things like "Good for you, that's bullying," and "Your boyfriend sounds spineless." An hour later, Ryan called. He was furious, saying I'd made him look like a monster. I calmly told him he'd posted first and that I was just telling my side of the story. He demanded I take the post down, but I refused. "If the truth ruins your image, maybe your image was built on something rotten," I said. After that, the circle came after me. Ava said I was pathetic, Sophia said Ryan was too good for me, Isabella hoped the attention was worth it, and Chloe told me to grow up. The worst one was Ava again, saying I should be grateful Ryan even tolerated me. I didn't respond. I blocked them one by one, except for Grace. She'd told me the truth, and I couldn't bring myself to block her. 2 days later, I went back to the apartment when I knew Ryan would be at work. It felt like I was committing a crime as I walked up to the door. When I unlocked it, the familiar click made my stomach twist. Inside, everything was too quiet. Ryan's shoes were lined up by the door, and his jacket hung on the hook. The couch pillows were arranged neatly, but it felt forced. I went to my office corner in the spare room and started packing my things. I was halfway through packing my desk drawer when I heard the front door open. Ryan's voice filled the room. "Eileen," he said. I froze. He appeared in the doorway, looking annoyed, like I'd ruined something he expected to control. He saw the boxes and asked, "So this is it? You're really doing this?" I looked him in the eye and said, "Yes." He stepped closer and said, "You're leaving over one dinner." I replied, "No, I'm leaving over what that dinner revealed." He scoffed, but I continued, "Your friends mocked me for hours, and you laughed with them. That wasn't joking, and even if it was, why was I the only one expected to take it? When I didn't tolerate it, you didn't ask if I was okay. You said I embarrassed you." He snapped, "You made it public. You didn't have to post." I said, "You posted first. You turned me into a villain to protect your image. You were building a story where I'm the problem so you can avoid accountability." He said he'd paid almost $200 because of me, but I told him, "You paid that because you chose Ava's approval over basic fairness." He then said, "I love you," but I shook my head. "No, you don't. If you loved me, you would have had my back on Friday." I taped the last box shut, picked it up, and walked past him. He moved aside without touching me. At the counter, I set my key down and left a note saying I'd be out by the end of the month and we could discuss the lease with the landlord. As I walked out the door, I didn't look back. I'd learned an important lesson. When people show you how little they respect you, believe them the first time. Ryan texted me 2 weeks later, but I just replied no thank you and blocked him. The circle fell apart without me as their scapegoat. I heard through mutual friends that Ava and Sophia got into a fight, Isabella took sides, and Chloe stopped responding to group messages. Grace distanced herself from them. One Thursday evening, after a long day at work, I met a woman named Maya for coffee. We'd matched on a dating app. She was a yoga instructor, and she laughed easily. When the bill came, she naturally asked, "Split?" I smiled and said, "Yes." We each paid for our own drinks, and it was so refreshing. People ask me if I regret how I handled that Friday night. I always say it wasn't about the money. It was about respect. I realized I was expected to shrink so others could feel powerful, and I chose not to. I lost a future where I'd be constantly apologizing, but that's not a loss. That's freedom.